all the important things related to the economy or to jobs, whatever, Congress is just sort of put on the back burner for now, right, with Syria up front?
It seems that way to me. It's hard to say, exactly what they'd be doing if Syria weren't happening right now.
Maybe nothing, right, but
possibly they'd still be quiet about this stuff, which is not unheard of. But there will be a vote in the House in probably next week on food stamps and cutting food stamps. And this is a bill that hasn't had any hearings in this Congress. And probably most members of the House don't know anything about it, except, the few who are focused on poverty or are members of the House Agriculture Committee. So they just happen to know how this works.
And you're talking about a handful, really. So bring us up to date for our listeners and our viewers on the food stamp issue. It is always, not always, but for the last 30 or 40 years, right, it's been part of the Ag Bill, right?
Right.
So this year, the House of Representatives passed, because of Republican Tea Party opposition, they took food stamps out of the Ag Bill altogether.
You heard about it less than things like the fiscal cliff, but it was one of the most epic fiascos under John Boehner's leadership as the Speaker. And they had a vote on this farm bill that they thought was going to pass. It cobbled together food stamps and agriculture subsidies.
As we've done for the last 40 years.
Right.
Right.
And it failed because, on the House floor, Eric Cantor made it much harsher than it had been, and they lost all these Democratic votes. So they then took this Heritage Foundation strategy of splitting the two up, and they passed a farm-only farm bill.
Farm subsidies.
Yeah, and
up the gazoo, right? But no food stamps.
Really, yeah. Hard to justify subsidies for major agribusinesses, and then food stamps is just kind of in limbo, which is sort of okay because there is no food stamp cliff. People don't have to be too alarmed necessarily about their nutrition assistance just sort of stopping suddenly because of congressional inaction. But they're going to come back with this bill to cut food stamps by about 5%. It would be several million people being kicked from the rolls.
How many people are on food stamps today?
47 million.
Which is more than at any time in our history?
Right. It's an historic
Why is that?
level. Well, it's 15% of the country. It's 15% of the country that lives below the poverty line. It really tracks the economy very closely, food stamp enrollment. But there's another thing to this, and people don't know it. One reason could be because we're preoccupied with something else. But regardless of what they do on this bill, there's another cut to food stamps coming because of the expiration of the something from the 2009 stimulus bill. Remember that?
Yeah, right.
So every household is going to see their benefits drop by like $30 in November. And I think people are probably just sort of unaware that this is going to happen. And right now would be an ideal time to discuss it, but we're sort of bumbling through this Syria situation. And that's probably a legitimate preoccupation. But it's certainly something that's taking attention away from food stamps and the economy.
Well, particularly from, I would have to say, a Congress that has a hard time walking and chewing gum at the same time, right? They seem to only focus on one thing and forget everything else. And then even when they do focus on some things, they don't get anything done. I mean, it is my column in The Hill this morning, I call it the most divisive and the most do-nothing Congress in history, certainly in our lifetime. I mean, what have they done about climate change? Nothing. Immigration reform, so far, nothing. Gun safety, nothing. Food stamps, nothing.
Right.
Even a budget, nothing. Paying their bills, that's the other. I mean, they can't even agree to pay their own bills. I mean, it's just pathetic.
Well, John Boehner says, judge us not by the bills we pass, but the laws we repeal. But what's funny about this, you got to pass a law to repeal one.
Well, also, they haven't repealed any laws.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. They voted 44 times to repeal Obamacare, but they haven't done it. Right. So it's insane. So when does this whole food stamp thing come to a head?
Well, this automatic food stamp cut, there's no discussion about averting it. So everyone's going to see a reduction in their benefits in November. The food stamp bill that will
And what does that mean for the average family? I mean, are we talking
family of four, $36 fewer per month?
A month. Yeah.
Right. And that actually doesn't sound like a ton of money when you're getting several hundred, but I've talked to a lot of people on food stamps, and none of them have a surplus. They use that money up before the month is over.
And what is a family of four getting on food stamps if they get the full benefit a month?
The average per person benefit is $133
per person.
If you're working, you'll get a little less. But you
I want to focus on that. So $133, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting $36 cut out of that?
No, that's you're getting 36 out of the total, so 133 times 4, and then minus 36.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So it'll be less food for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the Bill Press show right now is the only place talking about that. And then, so that they're going to then debate this legislation that won't reduce your benefits, but will kick several million people off the rolls if it were to pass.
Right.
I'm on food stamps. I get $86 a month. If they cut my food stamps by $30, that leaves me with $50.
I think for an individual getting $86, it won't be so much as $30. It'll be a much smaller reduction.
Well, that's great to hear, but have you seen the price of groceries lately?
I know.
Yeah.
It's when that's your food budget, that can be
thank
devastating.
God I'm living in a state where right now we have a Democratic governor, but the Republican that's running in 2014 is a Tea Partier such as Brownback, and I just can't wait to see what he's going to do to elderly people.
Well, you can see. I mean, seriously, $86 a month. Beverly, I don't know how you can make it on $86 a month with groceries, right? And you cut that even by $10 or $15. That's got to hurt, Arthur, this is a very thing. Beverly, thank you for the call, and thanks for staying with us. But she's typical of the person out there that these people don't care about, and they want to make life worse for them.
Well, the program, the food stamps has gotten so big and cost the government so much money, not because people are just living large and eating crab legs
right,
and buying porterhouse steaks. It's because it's a lot of people who are poor, and that's the reason they qualify. And it's not because of fraud or
and the economy is tough, and jobs are scarce, and wages have not gone up, and across the board.
It's a mirror of what's going on in the economy.